So UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivak just wrapped up, and these are the fights that I think should be made next. This is my first time recording a video on this microphone. I did just do a live stream for the Fight Companion there, and if you wanted to watch my Fight Companions, I'm going to be doing one for next week's card, UFC 284. Really looking forward to it. This is my brand new microphone. I broke my last microphone when I was moving house, and I did just finish moving house, which is why I haven't uploaded in a while. Let's just get straight into it. Let me know what you think of the new microphone as well. So I guess Spivak got a pretty big win over Derek Lewis. Dominated him, took him down 5 times in like 2.5 minutes. It was unreal. And I think this is what we do. I think we've got to do Sergey Spivak versus Marcin Taira. I know it might not make that much sense right now, but if you look at the heavyweight division, you've got to look at the rankings here. And looking at the rankings, so Sergey Spivak just beat number 7 ranked Derek Lewis, and he has lost to Aspinall in the past, but he's going to be ranked number 7. And someone that's going to be ranked just below him is a man that just also won on the card, Marcin Taira. He just defeated number 15, Blagoy Ivanov. He'll either stay at number 10 or maybe take the number 9 spot. And then we can do the number 7 ranked at the time, Sergey Spivak versus the number 9 at the time ranked Marcin Taira. I think it makes sense. Alexander Volkov has a fight already booked with Alexander Romanov. Tom Aspinall was injured. Maybe the return fight for Tom Aspinall probably could be Marcin Taira, but I don't really know what Aspinall's kind of wanting to do. I think he might be looking at Tuivasa potentially. Curtis Blades is kind of in the title picture right now. I think he wants to fight Pavlovich. Derek Lewis just lost. He'll probably fight someone like Rosenstrike maybe. I don't think they've ever fought before. Chris Dalkaus, I don't know what Chris Dalkaus is up to. He's probably not too willing to fight Sergey Spivak. So that's what I'm thinking. That's my thinking behind that. Marcin Taira, I think, is the next fight. Taira will probably be ranked number 9 or 10. And number 7 ranked at the time should be Sergey Spivak. So number 9 versus number 7. Prelims of a pay-per-view. Maybe like main card of a really bad pay-per-view. But yeah, I think we can make that happen. I think sometime soon as well. Maybe prelims of UFC 287. I don't really see why not. The next one is Devin Clark, just beat Dalton Young, 30-27 times 3. Good fight. I thought it was competitive, but Devin Clark obviously did clearly win the fight. To be fair, I was half asleep watching this because I'm so tired from moving house. But Devin Clark, he looked pretty good. I mean, got the job done. I thought that Dalton Young had a pretty good first round, but Devin Clark started to take over towards the end. And I think he should fight Nikolai Negumereanu. I think this is a good fight. Negumereanu is coming off a loss to Carlos Ulberg 3 months ago, so maybe he's ready to come back maybe in another 3 months. I know it was a pretty bad KO loss. If that's not the case, maybe he'll have to look at some sort of other opponent, but I think that's just a fight that makes sense. And the winner of that fight can probably start fighting someone that's going to put them in the top 15 conversation, because at the end of the day, Devin Clark's on a 1-fight win streak. We're not going to throw him in the top 15 straight away, you know what I mean? Although Dalton Young is a very good win for him to have. Marcin Taira, just talked about him. I think he should fight Spivak. Doo Ho Choi, this was heartbreaking for me, man. Because I think that Doo Ho Choi looks really bad in his return. I know you should have won 28, 29-28. The point deduction was just stupid, in my opinion. I'm not too big of a fan of that. But he didn't look that good against Kyle Nelson. And Kyle Nelson was like the lowest ranked featherweight on the roster. So let's give him someone that I think he should be able to beat, but at the same time, maybe he could beat Doo Ho Choi if it's the same Doo Ho Choi shows up in this Charles Rosa. It would be a banger of a fight. I was thinking of looking at this guy called Fernando Padilla, who's a guy from Mexico who's yet to make his debut, but he is signed to the UFC. But I thought, you know what, like it's Doo Ho Choi. You know, they're gonna want him to win. Charles Rosa's 5-8 in the UFC. He's on a losing streak right now, although he is on some pretty good, having some pretty fun fights. But I think that would be a great fight. I think it would be a banger of a fight. I think it's the fight to make. Adam Fugit just beat Yusaku Kinoshita. Keep in mind, Adam Fugit is 34 years old. They're not really going to do him too many favors, you know what I mean? I think he's going to fight Angelusa next. I think that's a logical fight. Makes sense in the rankings. Both guys are now 1-1 in the UFC, and Angelusa is on a 3-3 run in his last 6 fights. So it's not like Angelusa is out here on like a 5-fight win streak or something and we're just feeding him to the wolves. But I think that'll be a fun fight, dude. Winnable fight for Angelusa for sure, but also a very winnable fight for Adam Fugit. Aside from that, you could probably just give him anyone, really. That 170, that's kind of lower ranked, like maybe like Preston Parsons or something like that. But put him in front of a crowd. I think that Adam Fugit's a fun fighter. He got a very good finish over Yusaku Kinoshita. Yusaku Kinoshita, man, maybe he got a little bit exposed in the wrestling. I kind of want to see him take some time off and kind of improve that wrestling base, because people are going to try and take him down now. Even if he's fighting a striker, they're going to know that he's weak in the wrestling. So We move on to the Road to UFC, guys. I went 3-1 on Road to UFC Picks. The one that I got wrong was Hyun-Sung Park, and Seung-Guk Choi was winning the fight until he started initiating the grappling and got submitted, because, I don't know, dude, fight IQ, man, scares me. But, Anshul Jubilee wins. Keep in mind, UFC's going to want Anshul Jubilee to win. Anshul Jubilee's like their tickets to get into the Indian market, because obviously India's got a pretty big population. A lot of Indian fans really love sport, they really do, and I think that it's a very big opportunity for maybe Anshul Jubilee to become a superstar in India, and UFC to build Anshul Jubilee as a superstar in India. So this is what I think we do. I think we give Anshul Jubilee very winnable fights, and we promote him a lot in India. Like in New Zealand right now, there's billboards of Shane Young, who is on the prelims of UFC 284, but there's billboards of Shane Young, 13-6 fighter, potentially fighting for a spot on the roster, everywhere. And that's what we do. We put Anshul Jubilee billboards everywhere when he's fighting, just all over the place in India, so people can know that he's going to be scrapping. And I think we give him a very winnable fight. And against Gabriel Miranda, you may have not even remembered this guy exists, but he does. He's 16-6. He's never really fought anyone that good. He's kind of only a grappler, and Anshul Jubilee's striking isn't that bad. Anshul Jubilee is mostly a grappler, which is weird that he's kept his whole fight on the feet in his first round fight of Road to UFC, but I think that you'd beat him up on the feet, dude. This guy's just not really that great, man. I think that's a very winnable fight for Jubilee. And Gabriel Miranda's 32 years old, you know, and he's 16-6, just lost his fight against Benoit Saint-Denis. Not really like he's got a lot of negotiation power. He has to take the fight, and I think that Jubilee would win the fight. I think it's a very winnable fight for Jubilee, so that's the fight I want to do. Jung Young Lee won a split decision over Jia Yi. Fight could have gone either way. I personally thought Jia Yi won, even though I did pick Jung Young Lee to win. But if you really want to just go for damage only, Jung Young Lee did win the fight based on damage only, so there's an argument either way. We're not going to argue anything. I do believe, it's not confirmed, but I do believe everyone on here does get a contract. I do believe even the losers get contracts. That's the last I heard, but I haven't heard back from anything about that yet. But I do think you're going to see the losers in the UFC anyway. But Jung Young Lee obviously got in the UFC. The opponent that I've got for him is Eric Silva. Eric Silva lost to TJ Brown. Didn't look that good, but he's a finisher, man, and he's a wild man on the feet. And it's kind of what you want to do with someone like Jung Young Lee, because Jung Young Lee is also a wild man on the feet. This guy has finishes for days on his record, man. Like, that fight was his first time going to the second minute of a fight since 2018. 10-second KO, 36-second KO, 42-second, 36-second submission, 42-second KO. Jung Young Lee's a guy that you want to give him someone where he can get a finish early, and I think Eric Silva's probably got that style, man. So I've got Eric Silva as his potential opponent in his next fight. I think that makes a bit of sense. Personally, Eric Silva's also 35 years old. He's not a young guy that the UFC can build. He's not really got a lot of negotiation power. He's 0-1. He's 35. I think he would have to take the fight. So Jung Young Lee, I think he would win that one too by first round finish. Rinya Nakamura. What can I say, man? I've been yelling Rinya Nakamura's name from the rooftop since he got announced to be on the Road to UFC. I said as soon as he got announced to be on Road to UFC, he was going to win the whole thing, and at the time he was 4-0. Rinya Nakamura is crazy good. We're talking about a world champion level wrestler, like a literal world champion wrestler, with crazy hands, really good boxing and kickboxing, and this is what I think we do. You might disagree with it. A lot of people on my stream did when I was trying to make the matchup, but Ricky Turcios. Ricky Turcios is a likable guy. People love Ricky Turcios. He's a potential star because he's got a little bit of a crazy personality. Some people don't really like it. Some people love it. But who's got the higher ceiling, right? Ricky Turcios or Rinya Nakamura? Here's what I propose. UFC 287 prelims. Ricky Turcios versus Rinya Nakamura. Rinya Nakamura wins. He gets the crowd all hyped up after the win because I think he would finish Ricky Turcios. We're talking about a superstar from Japan with an American fan base because he just beat an American star, the Ultimate Fighter winner, Ricky Turcios. I think it's a good fight. I think it makes sense to me, personally. And then also Rinya Nakamura. Ricky Turcios has won a couple of fights in the UFC, so from there you can kind of work him up the rankings a little bit. And now for Hyun-Sung Park, I've got a little bit of a tester for him. It's just a tester to see, is he truly UFC level ready? That's kind of what all of these are, the Jubilee, the Lee, and the Park fights, just testing, are they really UFC level? Obviously Rinya Nakamura is, he's insanely good, it's unreal. So I've given him a little bit of a tougher fight, I feel. But Hyun-Sung Park, just a tester fight, a taster. Carlos Candelario, he's 8-3. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He lost to Victor Altamirano on Contender Series. And then he lost to Tatsuro Taira. And then he lost to Jake Hadley. If Hyun-Sung Park loses to Carlos Candelario, we just know that he's not really going to make a run up the rankings whatsoever. But if he does, then we can start pushing and maybe he gets harder competition. So that's why I've kind of gone with that matchup. Jun Yong Park, they've both actually got a common opponent. Dennis Tiulian, and this next matchup have both. I'm not speaking English, dude. Anyway, the point is Aliaskhab Khizriev. Both Dennis Tiulian and Khizriev have fought each other. Junyon Park made it look easier than Aliaskhab Khizriev did. Aliaskhab Khizriev is 14-0. He's 5'9". I heard rumors he was going to 170 pounds, but he hasn't had a fight booked or announced since March of last year. He hasn't fought in about a year. I don't really know what he's up to. I'm a little bit confused. This guy's been super inactive. He's fought 3 times since 2018. Not too sure what he's up to. I think that Junyon Park and him would have a very competitive fight. And honestly, if the same Junyon Park that fought Dennis Tiulian shows up, I genuinely might pick Junyon Park. I think it makes sense. And then the winner of that fight, especially if it's Junyon Park, because he's on a good finish streak right now, I'm pretty sure, could probably start looking at like a fight that's going to get him a ranked opponent, like a guy that's just outside of the rankings, that if he wins, then he's going to get in the rankings, you know what I mean? So I think that's the fight. Maybe you could also do like Junyon Park versus the guy that just, Bruno Ferreira, that just knocked out Gregory Rodriguez. Maybe that could be a fight too, but I'm thinking Junyon Park versus Aliaskhab Khizriev is a good scrap. Next one is Tatsuro Taira, just fought Jesus Aguilar. Look at the guys that Tatsuro Taira has been facing recently. He's 3-0 in the UFC. He beat Carlos Candelario, CJ Vergara, and then the debuting Jesus Aguilar. That tells you that the UFC is wanting to build him up slowly. They're wanting to make that record look as good as it is, because it's 13-0. But they're going to have to give him a ranked opponent at some point, and I think that ranked opponent will be Tyson Nam. I thought about maybe giving him, where's the rankings, dude? I thought about maybe potentially giving him Tim Elliott. I don't know what Tim Elliott's up to these days, but, or maybe Sue Mutajiri would have been a good fight too, but I think here's what we do. We give him Tyson Nam. If he beats Tyson Nam, he's number 15, and then from there, we can start looking at maybe Tatsuro Taira versus Sue Mutajiri, Tatsuro Taira versus Tim Elliott, David Dvorak. Like, it's not easy. The UFC 125-pound division is pretty stacked. I do feel like ONE FC's got a very strong 125-pound division as well, because they have Jared Brooks, who would make a very, very fitting addition if he re-entered the UFC. But anyway, the point is, Tatsuro Taira, I don't think we give him to Elliott, because then he'd be ranked number 11, and then you have to start really giving him the tough guys. I think the UFC's going to want to keep him undefeated, and he's also super young. He's 23 years old. Let's not like just rush him too much. But we do have to give him a ranked opponent. He's 3-0 right now in flyweight, and there's only like 35 fighters at flyweight. So give him Tyson Nam. Oh, that's a problem. Okay, Tyson Nam has a fight booked that I did not know about. Okay, I look like an idiot now, but it's the end of the video, so we can get away with it. Okay, Tatsuro Taira, just sit out for a little bit, dude. You're 23 years old. We've got time to burn. Fight the winner of Bruno Silva versus Tyson Nam, which should be Tyson Nam. So fight Tyson Nam anyway. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. But if Bruno Silva wins, then we can do Bruno Silva versus Tatsuro Taira. I think that makes sense. So that's the fight. I look like a fool, man. I thought Tyson Nam didn't have a fight booked. Whatever. Thank you. Let me know what you think of the video, and I really would appreciate a comment and a like and a subscribe if you haven't already seen it. And I'll see you in the next video, which will be my UFC 284 predictions. And as I said before, I will be live during UFC 284 to do a fight companion. So I'm looking forward to that. So thank you guys so much for watching.